Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die. They stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
All right. Greetings. Welcome all. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource channel. This is the original channel for Dorsey's Resource. The topic of this video is going to be U.S. court verdict delivers big blow to Google in antitrust case. U.S. court verdict delivers big blow to Google in antitrust case. That's the topic of the video I plan on discussing. But first, as usual, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information contained herein is not to be construed as legal advice, financial advice, or any of the sort. If you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. Everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Now let's get into the topic. Once again, U.S. court verdict delivers big blow to Google in antitrust case. Now, I don't know if you guys remember. I want to first of all appreciate all my returning loyal subscribers, those who continue to rock with me, those who stay loyal to the channel and stay for updates. Much appreciation. Thank you. I appreciate you all. Just wanted to give my acknowledgement as we get into this topic in particular. But if you all remember, if you know, familiar with my work, when I used to do a lot of videos or a lot more videos consistently, I will bring up a lot in relation to the censorship. But this specifically was not in relation to censorship, but you can say in a way it encompasses that, because I'm going to go over the article. A federal judge ruled that Google used anti-competitive practices to further its monopoly on the web. This article is from August 6, 2024. I'm reading from thestreet.com. I chose that article. There's several articles. You can look up different articles on it. By the way, it says, and Conway Gittins reporting from the New York Stock Exchange. Here's what we're watching on the street today. It says, let me see. Okay, let me see, is that part in relation? They were talking about this may have affected their stock, by the way. So let me get to the main meat and potatoes in the article. It says, in other news, after a nearly year-long trial, Google has been found to have violated U.S. antitrust laws when it comes to its search business. In his ruling, U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta claimed Google's practices have allowed it to crush its competition. First, I want to say, forgive me for mispronouncing the judge's name. I'm not sure how it's pronounced in particular, but it says, I'm going to read it again. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta claimed Google's practices have allowed it to crush its competition and stifle innovation. Mehta wrote, after having carefully considered and weighed the witness testimony and evidence, the court reaches the following conclusion. Google is a monopolist, and it has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. This is from the article that I'm reading, folks. This is not my words. I'm reading from the article. This is from thestreet.com. The Justice Department argued that due to Google's monopoly, it was able to charge advertisers artificially high prices to place ads on its platform. The DOJ also claims since there was no other contenders in the space, Google didn't have to invest in time or money to improve its search engine. Google, however, maintains it has done nothing wrong and intends to appeal. Its president of global affairs pushed back on the ruling, stating the decision recognizes that Google offers the best search engine, but concludes that we shouldn't be allowed to make it easily available. According to the ruling, Google has an 89.2% share of the market for general search services, which increases to 94.9% on mobile devices. That'll do it for your daily briefing from the New York Stock Exchange. I'm Conway Gittins with The Street. Okay, so that's, I guess, the name of the journalist who reported. Thank you, Conway, for your update on this. Well, I just wanted to tie this in case you all haven't heard. You know, it's been a lot going on with, this is not maybe getting as much attention because of the election stuff that's going on, but this is something that's very important, including a case that was ruled on not too long ago. It didn't go in favor of a lot of people who are advocates for freedom of speech. However, I mentioned I'll have to find that article. There was a previous ruling by a lower court, which was high up. It was a federal court that found that the Biden-Harris administration had engaged in corrupt practices behind the scenes, censoring people and things. And I have to find the article specifically so I can hopefully read it to you guys, let you guys know, just like I read to you all the other article. But this shows that, like what I mentioned, I didn't want to just sound like I was being picked on when I told you about my channel being censored. And my friend believed when my smaller channel was taken down last year that it had something to do with, even though I'm not a registered voter, but he believed it had something to do with, because he believed, he knows that I lean more to the right as far as my political views. My channel was more supportive of Trump, by the way, and he believes I was targeted as a result of that in particular. There's other reasons. My channel was not allowed. I had subscribers, thank you all, who did alert me some years ago, that told me that they were able to look up the metrics and see that my channel was being censored and I wasn't getting the types of views. And I even noticed more recently when I did that video after the assassination attempt on Trump's life, that video in particular, I found out that YouTube, which is owned and controlled by Google, had buried my channel in the search algorithm results. When I looked up my channel, I'll periodically do this. Some content creators will do this, and I couldn't find it. Then the second time, third, fourth time I did a search, I was finally able to find it, but I had to keep scrolling down. So they pushed it way down in the search results, and I couldn't even find my other backup channel that I had at the time at Dorsey's Resource 873. So there's more indication my channel was being messed with. And then it's also come out recently, there's content creators, influencers, and I want to say big shout out to you guys that out there that are awake to the truth, that I consider fully awake, not woke on the leftist side, but woke patriots who are fighting for our freedoms, fighting against the New World Order, fighting to expose the criminal cabal. I want to commend you all. You all, there's phenomenal people I've come across that do phenomenal work. I won't go over names right now, but in particular, I've come across a lot of talented people, and they were reporting that Kamala administration, she just picked now the vice president since Biden decided to step down, which I knew that was the play all along. They're not fooling anybody. They use identity politics. They want to push the narrative that, just like with Hillary Clinton, they want there to be the first female president. And it's not that I'm against a woman being president, because there was accusations to try to shame men into supporting Kamala Harris. They'll say a lot of you men are chauvinists, you guys are misogynistic, sexist, racist. No, I would support Kamala any day, or any woman, with that, if she was pro-gun, pro-God, family in the Constitution, pro-family structure. By the way, if she was against the borders, if she was for public safety for the entire country, her policies is what I look at. I don't practice identity politics, by the way. So I don't have no problem, nothing wrong with the women being president. Let me say this again. Just like I knew about, I had to tell some people, there was a candidate overseas who was said to be like allegedly a female version of Trump, Marine Le Pen, by the way, who was running against Emmanuel Macron. I preferred Marine Le Pen, but just like over here, I believe, in my opinion, there was discrepancies in their election, even when she ran against him again. By the way, I know that Emmanuel Macron is a globalist connected to the World Economic Forum, just like Justin Trudeau. In case you're not familiar with the World Economic Forum, I encourage you all to do your own homework and research. I've mentioned them. They're tied in with the Bilderberg Secret Society, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission. They're like another group that summons. Every year they have a meeting, an annual meeting where they summons heads of state, potentates, diplomats, people behind CEOs of major corporations, mayors, governors, influential political leaders from around the world, not just here in the United States, tech industries, people from every industry, from the agricultural, medical field, to dictate and govern a world policy where they want to take over local and state politicians, circumvent the rule of law, and have an authoritarian rulership, by the way, which they accuse Trump of, which is far from true. Trump is not a dictator, and I can prove easily how Kamala Harris, for example, was overseas in Africa. There's still video footage of it, lobbying to African leaders to try to get them to accept this so-called LGBTQ agenda. And as I previously mentioned, African leaders, and one of them did a video, I don't remember his name in particular, and they stated they were not going along. So in response to retaliate, which, if you know anything about the workforce, if companies retaliate against you, that's something that's a big lawsuit. But our own government did this. It's an overreach of power. By the way, this is examples of a rulership, dictatorship. So when they didn't accept this, she said, okay, we're going to withhold aid from you all, critical aid. And these countries are already, poorer than what we have over here. They're second and third class. And she decided to punish them, go back to her overlords, the people behind the curtain that control her, tell her what to do, that are connected to the deep state, the evil criminal syndicate, globalists, and punish these African nations. But yet she's supposed to be pro-black, pro for the African diaspora. Huh? Yeah, she did this. There's evidence, folks. Not my words. Trump did not do anything like that. So that's indication. And she was lobbying hard to multiple African countries to push something that's from a small demographic of people. Now, let me say, if that's your lifestyle preference, I don't micromanage that. But my whole thing is this: when it comes to these agendas that's being pushed, that's mainly being pushed by the liberal progressive party, what I have a problem with, is I have more of a libertarian perspective. As long as I'm doing my thing over here, I can respect what you do, as long as you don't infringe upon me. But where we draw the line at is where you try to force me to do something. Or, when somebody gets right in your face and they do something disrespectful, you have to check that person, right? You know what I mean? Where this group, organization, is forcefully, which has a lot of power from people behind the curtain that are pushing these agendas, which are mainly being pushed by the liberal progressive party. Because that's another trick that's going on when I was having a debate with the relative, and they were trying to, I had to evaluate and assess what they were telling me, and they were trying to say, well, it's Republicans part of this too. No, overall, let me tell you this, and this is what I know to be for a fact. Majority of people, if I was to have a panel discussion, would know that these agendas are being heavily pushed by the Democratic Party, progressive, liberal, heavily pushed with the alphabet community and these agendas. And it's not biblical. I grew up in the church. I was raised in church while I was a preacher kid. My father was an ordained minister. They taught me as a child. And it's funny to see how I see a lot of preachers and people that claim to be Christians are now selling out to the New World Order. And the sad part, folks, I don't even attend church anymore. That shows you how my moral and ethical values, I would say, in my opinion, I'm not perfect, I have my flaws, but it supersedes these people who claim to be Bible-thumping, God-loving, Spirit-filled, Holy Ghost, Spirit-filled Christians. Hypocrites. And sadly, I see a lot of people and a lot of women in my own community claim to be Bible, God-fearing. They were just playing all along, folks. Even though, and I'm going to say, I've heard preachers, some preachers, not all criticize and say Trump is not a Christian or who is his pastor. But here's the difference. Trump isn't out there trying to lock up parents for refusing to have their kids have sex changes and things what's going on in California or certain liberal places. Where did all this come from? We point back to Barack Hussein Obama, aka Barry Soetoro, was pushing these agendas when he was in office, by the way. And I hear some of these black people out here say, well, Obama couldn't do anything to help black people. But my friend pointed this out. I noticed, however, why did Obama, if he didn't have this power, went out of his way to specifically push these agendas for the alphabet community? And you mean to tell me he could not pass reparations for the black community? And you give Democrats have colluded where they actually, Biden announced this. I'm not making this up, folks. He announced reparations for illegal immigrants, aliens. Then they had the nerve, as you see in Chicago and other major urban areas that are Democratic controlled, push migrants into black neighborhoods that are already suffering, were already poor. Black people made up a critical part, melanated people, of helping build this country. They named a street in Washington, D.C. after a black man. A lot of people don't know this. They tried to lie about him. They lightened him up. He was really a brother. Helped design the White House. Phenomenal architect, genius. If you're in the D.C. area, you may have seen the street. Benjamin Banneker, named after a black man. Genius construction worker, engineer, architect. Helped design the White House. It's other stories. Black man invented a street light. I could go on and on. Numerous inventions to how black Americans have contributed to America, but are disrespected. And I even see from some of my own, like I get on my friend who's a Republican, a conservative. I've debated him. It's one thing I care about, and you guys know I adamantly support, even though I do lean more to the right than I do the left, is reparations. And Democrats have had a chance. When Obama was president, they controlled the House and the Senate at one time when he was president. Or he could have even passed an executive order. And he makes an excuse and says, I'm the president of everybody. But yet you do all these things for these other groups. And that's not to say I don't want to disrespect my other fellow ethnic groups, my Latino, Hispanic community, the Chaldeans, the Arab community, what's going on. But understand where black Americans are coming from. We've suffered enough at the hands. And when I get a chance, it's just it's sad. I'm gonna go through my neighborhood I'm considering I grew up in. I'm gonna do a live video. I'm planning on this. The church that Trump came to when he visited here, by the way, years ago, was a church that I didn't realize the name had changed because some things that happened years ago. And stuff happens with churches, by the way, because there's politics involved, even with churches, how leaders get voted in or voted out. I don't know all the specifics. But a new pastor took over. But that same church prior to the pastor that took over years ago, the pastor who was the pastor of that, or overseer of that church, it was called Evangel Christian Academy Evangel Church, Evangel Ministries, before the name was changed to the 180 Church. By the way, I went to the school growing up as from 5th grade up to my 9th grade year. 5th grade up to 9th grade. And I'm going to tell you some things, I'm going to share with you, things I've never shared before, by the way. And I'm considering doing this when I get a chance to get some time. You guys have to bear with me. That I may go back to my old neighborhood I grew up in and do a video over there. I was considering doing, even tied in with the old elementary school when my parents, going to the his story, my parents first moved to Detroit. I was raised a Christian, but it's sad that I see the same principles that my relative taught me. I see them have turned 360 degrees from what they used to pray with me, walk me on my way to school, because they used to have to drop me off at that church years ago. And I used to have to catch a shuttle bus that would take me to the east side where his school was at specifically, because we were known as the west side students. So the students that lived on the west side of the city, they had a school bus that basically would transport us basically to where his school was at, the location I went to. Allegedly, I heard he had another school in Taylor, Michigan at one time. There was some older students, people I came across years ago that told me they knew about the other school. I think I even went to school with someone that told me they went to the other location, and his school in Taylor closed down before the one on the east side of Detroit closed down. And they both are now no longer. Of course, they closed down some years ago, but his school in Taylor closed down prior to the one on the east side of Detroit.